Today we're going to be solving equations by multiplying or dividing. So just like previously when we were talking about adding and subtracting, we're going to be using the inverse operation. So the opposite of multiplication is division, and the opposite of division is multiplication. So whenever you see a multiplication equation, the opposite is going to be division, and if you see a division equation, the opposite is going to be multiplication. So let's look at our first example. We have 5x is equal to 100. Now we have to think, we want this x by itself, and this is 5 times x. So what's the opposite of multiplication? Opposite of multiplication is division. So we want to divide by 5 on the left, and if we divide by 5 on the left, we have to divide by 5 on the right. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, so basically these are going to cancel out, and we're just going to have x by itself. And then we have to look at the right side. 100 divided by 5 is equal to 20. And if we want to double check, all we have to do is plug in 20 up here for x. So is 5 times 20, does that equal to 100? Yes, it does. So this is our final answer. Second one, if we have a negative 7y is equal to 63, remember this is multiplication, negative 7 times y. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So if we divide by a negative 7 on the left side, we have to divide by a negative 7 on the right side. So negative 7 divided by a negative 7 is a positive 1. So all that we're left with on the left side is y, since these will cancel out. And 63 divided by negative 7 is equal to a negative 9. If we want to double check this, all we have to do, wherever we see a y, we plug in negative 9. So up here, we plug in negative 9 for y. So negative 7 times negative 9 is equal to a positive 63. So this is our final answer. Now I want you to try it. Pause the video, try these two examples yourself, unpause the video to see the way that I've done it. Alright, if we have the first one, if we have 4x is equal to negative 48, this is 4 times x. Divide by 4 on the left side, divide by 4 on the right side. These will cancel out. All you have left on the left side is x. And on the right side, what is negative 48 divided by 4? Remember, the answer is going to be negative, since a negative divided by a positive is a negative. So x is equal to a negative 12. And this is our final answer. Remember, always, if you want to double check, all you have to do, plug in this negative 12 up here for x, make sure it equals 48, which it does in this case. Next one, if we have negative 15 times x is equal to 15, what is the opposite of multiplication? It's division. Divide by negative 15 on the left. If you do that to the left, remember you always have to do it to the right. Divide by negative 15 on the right. Negative 15 divided by negative 15 on the left. Those cancel out, and all you have left is x. So it's 15 divided by a negative 15. Remember, answer is going to be negative. Answer is negative 1. If you want to, remember, plug it in, double check. Negative 15 times a negative 1 is equal to 15. So this is our final answer. Alright, now we're going to be solving by using some multiplying. So let's look at this first example that we have. We have y divided by 4 is equal to 8. Now, remember, what is the inverse operation of divided by? Since this line makes it a fraction, we read this as y divided by 4. So the opposite of divided by is to multiply. So we would multiply by 4 on the left. If we do that, we have to multiply by 4 on the right. So these 4's will cancel out on the left. So all we have left is y. And then we have to solve for the right. 8 times 4 is equal to 32. And if we want to double check, all we have to do, plug in this 32 in for y. So what is 32 divided by 4? 32 divided by 4 is 8. Thus, this is our final answer. Now let's try the one on the right. It may look a little bit different, but remember, all you have to do is move this 7 over to the right side. Now this is what we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing where the answer is off on the right. You can rewrite this due to the commutative property. Now, this is x divided by -2 is equal to 7. Remember, what's the opposite of divided by, which is multiply. So you have to multiply by a -2. If you multiply by -2 on the left, multiply by -2 on the right. So the -2's will cancel out on the left, which leaves you with just x. Now we solve for the right. 7 times -2 is equal to a -14. And all we have to do to double check, plug in this -14 up into x. So what is -14 divided by -2? That is equal to a +7. So -14 is our final answer. So what I want you to do is to pause the video, try this one, and unpause the video when you're ready to see what I have done. Alright, so now we have x is divided by 6. It's equal to 12. So remember, what is the opposite of divided by? Opposite of divided by is to multiply. So we're going to multiply by a +6 on the left, multiply by a 6 on the right. The 6 and the 6 on the left cancel out. So all we're left with is x on the left. Now on the right, what is 12 times 6? 12 times 6 is 72. So if we want to double check our answer, 72, plug that in for x. So what is 72 divided by 6? That is 12. So thus, x is equal to 72 is our final answer. Alright, so this time we're going to be working with some fractions. Remember, and so with this, if we're talking about fractions, we have to solve with the reciprocal. Remember, what is the reciprocal? The reciprocal is where you basically take the fraction and you flip it over. You flip the denominator goes into the numerator goes into the denominator. So when we do this, let's look at the first one. We have 3/5 times x is equal to 6. When we solve with the reciprocal, we are going to multiply with the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 3/5 is 5/3. If we multiply 5/3 on the left, we have to multiply 5/3 on the right. Now let's just think about it real quick. If we multiply 5/3 times 3/5, what do we get? If we multiply straight across, 5 times 3 is 15, 3 times 5 is 15, that's 15 times 15 over 15, which is equal to 1. We always want them to equal 1, so that all that we have left is x by itself. So these cancel out. Now we have x is equal to 6 times 5/3. We know how to multiply a whole number with a fraction. We can write this whole number as a fraction because remember you put 6 over 1. If you want to multiply straight across, that's fine with me. Let's do that as an example. 6 times 5 is equal to 30. 1 times 3 is equal to 3. Remember, you must simplify. So 30 divided by 3 is equal to 10. Thus, 10 is our final answer. The next one, we have a negative 5/9 times x is equal to 5. So we must use the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of negative 5/9 is negative 9/5. So if you multiply by negative 9/5 on the left, you must multiply by a negative 9/5 to the right. So on the left, negative 9/5 times a negative 5/9, those are equal to 1, so these cancel out. All you're left with is the x. Now we need to multiply 5 times negative 9/5. Remember, you can write this as you can write 5 as a fraction, as 5 over 1. Now this time let's do some cross simplifying. So we can cross simplify these 5's. The greatest common factor of both of those is 1. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. Now let's multiply straight across. 1 times negative 9 is equal to a negative 9. And 1 times 1 is equal to 1. And if we want to simplify this, negative 9 divided by 1 is equal to a negative 9. Thus, negative 9 is our final answer. So now what I want you to do is to try this one yourself. Pause the video, unpause the video when you're ready to see what I've done. Alright, so if we have 9/10 times x is equal to 72. Remember, we must multiply by the reciprocal. By doing that, the reciprocal of 9/10 is 10/9. If we multiply by 10/9 on the left, we must multiply by 10/9 on the right. So the 10/9 times 9/10 on the left, these cancel out, and all you have left is x. Now we have 72 times 10/9. Let's rewrite 72 as a fraction. So if we do that, this would be 72 over 1. So we could multiply straight across and have 72 times 10 is equal to 720, and 1 times 9 is equal to 9. But let's do some cross simplifying because 72 is a large number, and I don't really like working with large numbers. So, how many times, or what is the greatest common factor of 72 and 9? The greatest common factor of that is 9. So if 9 divided by 9 is equal to 1, 72 divided by 9 is 8. So now we can multiply straight across. 8 times 10 is equal to 8. 1 times 1 is equal to 1. And if we simplify 8 over 1, simplify that down to just 8. So x in this case is equal to a positive 8. So just a quick little recap. When we're multiplying, when we have a multiplication problem, the opposite of multiplying is divide. If we have a division problem, the opposite of division is to multiply. These are called the multiplicative inverses. So use the multiplicative inverses when you're solving one-step equations. If there's a fraction, you multiply by the reciprocal. So the opposite, or the reciprocal of 3/5 is 5/3. Multiply that on both sides to solve for your answer.